You ever sit there knowing exactly what needs to be done, but somehow you just don't do it? You've got the full plan, you got the whiteboard, you've journaled, you've visualized, strategized, and yet you're still stuck, not executing and beating yourself up over it. Here's what's actually happening. You don't just have a discipline and execution problem, you have a conversion problem. And today I'm gonna show you the exact system to fix it. I'm Jesse, and over the past decade, I've studied performance and organizational psychology, working with elite athletes, and now working with 6 to 8 figure entrepreneurs, helping them to execute and implement the internal systems to build their dream businesses. Let me introduce to you what I call the execution gap. It's the space between clarity and motion, between knowing and deciding exactly what needs to be done and actually doing it. You know the right next move, but the action doesn't happen, or it's delayed, sabotaged, or avoided altogether. I see this with almost every high-performing entrepreneur that I work with. They'll say things like, I know I should be doing outreach, but I keep optimizing my CRM, or I have the perfect content strategy, but oh yeah, the last time I posted was 2 weeks ago. And here's what's happening. You think that you have a motivation problem, but you actually have a systems problem. Your brain is crystal clear on what needs to be done and what needs to happen, but your execution system has a terrible conversion rate. It's like having a perfect GPS. The path is routed, but there's no fuel in the tank. This brings me to something that I track with almost all of my clients, which is your clarity conversion rate, or your CCR. And here's the formula. Your CCR equals your executed tasks divided by your clear priorities. Or in simpler terms, it's what are the things that you have done divided by what were the things that you said you needed to do. So let's say you write down 5 clear priorities in the morning, and by the end of the day, you completed 3 of them. Well, in that case, your clarity conversion rate is 3 divided by 5, which is 60%. Super simple. And most entrepreneurs I work with think that they're high performers because they're clear on what needs to happen, but when they actually track their CCR, it's usually between 30-50%. That means half of their actual clarity is getting lost in translation. They might have said that these 5 things are the things that I need to do. And then they do 3 of them and get pulled into 20 other things throughout the day that had nothing to do with their main goal. And so the problem isn't that you don't know what to do. The problem is that your system isn't built for motion and you're optimized for planning, not executing. Or even worse, executing on the wrong things. And this is where the execution protocol comes in. And it's part of what I have called the clarity stack. And it exists as a subcomponent within the 3rd layer of the stack, which is performance circuitry. And if you want to see that full video, I'll leave a link for it at the end. But specifically, this is the system that operationalizes clarity into clean, decisive action, even under pressure. And this execution protocol has 4 subcomponents. The first is the CCR, it's your clarity conversion rate, and you can't improve what you don't measure. So you need to start tracking how many of your clear priorities are actually being executed on. Now, the second part is your momentum index. And what this is how you stack your micro wins to build momentum. And your brain kind of needs that proof that action leads to results. And so small, consistent wins create that psychological momentum for bigger actions. And a big part of what that momentum does is build confidence. And that confidence builds an internal congruence or motivation to continue executing. Now, the third part is constraint design. And what that is using intentional friction to create urgency and reduce overwhelm. You might have heard Parkinson's law, which explains that work expands or contracts to fill the time available. So constraints can force execution if used properly. If there's something that you know you shouldn't be doing, well, you need to increase the friction between you and doing the thing. Inversely, if you know you need to go to the gym or go on a run, well, you need to reduce the friction or constraints as much as possible toward that action. Now, the fourth part is tempo calibration, and this ties everything together. This is matching your task load to your energy and cognitive rhythms. And what this is all about is taking those micro wins, so to speak, and making sure that they're not too spread apart, but not too close together to where you burn out, right? If it's win, 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 you feel like you don't have a breath, you're gonna burn out. If they're too far apart, that gives too much lag for you to drop off and lose momentum. And part of this connects with another layer in the clarity stack, which is your rhythm alignment and understanding your natural energy rhythms, taking those high cognitive load tasks and making sure that you execute on them during states where you are high energy versus any lower cognitive administrative tasks. You perform them during your recovery periods. When all 4 of these components work together, that's when you get what I call your execution output. Now, here's how this all works together. Your execution output equals your clarity times momentum multiplied by tempo calibration. Understanding this, if your clarity is 0, nothing else matters, so start with that. But if your clarity is high and your momentum index is low, you'll still struggle with execution. And even if your clarity is good and your momentum is good, but your tempo calibration is off, meaning you're trying to do deep work when your energy is low and burning out. And so this is why willpower alone doesn't work, or willpower at all doesn't work, because it depletes and runs out. You're trying to force execution without optimizing the system that creates execution. No different than energy, confidence, or anything like that. So here's what you can do right now to start closing your execution gap. First, audit where your clarity goes to die. For the next 3 days, write down your clear priorities every single morning. And at the end of the day, whether it's 3, 5, 10 things, 5 is ideal in my opinion, calculate your CCR. Where are you losing momentum? If you're at 60%, maybe you're losing momentum after that 3rd task. Second, you need to create an execution ritual. This is a conscious, intentional sequence that you perform before taking action on important tasks. So for me, my first flow block is first thing in the morning at around 7:30 a.m. And what I do is immediately getting out of bed, I go and I drink water, and then I do about 90 seconds to 2 minutes of dynamic stretching or movement, something to get my juices flowing and indicate to my body that, okay, this isn't a full workout, but we're doing something. For you, it could be as simple as sitting down, clearing your desk, and setting a timer. You can use a Pomodoro timer on your browser, or you can take a moment to just state your intention out loud and on a piece of paper, something external to you, so you can hold yourself more accountable than rationalizing within your own mind. Or better yet, tell the people close to you what your intentions are the day prior leading into each day. And that creates an internal congruence where you feel that pressure of knowing that you need to follow through. Now, the third thing that you can do is use constraint design as intelligently as possible. Give yourself artificial deadlines, for example, or work in specific predetermined time blocks. Public accountability, like I said, is another great use of intelligent, intentional constraints. And those constraints, those force action when all motivation fails. Another really great tool that you can use is an external device to shut down any sorts of stimulus that derail you, such as one of these. One that I think is really great is called the Bloom. It's a stainless steel credit card type thing that you can tap your phone to, shut down the apps that you shouldn't be using. It also has a great UI to track a lot of that stuff and your screen time and things like that. So any constraints that you can implement will save you. So start with these 3 steps and then recalculate your CCR, your clarity conversion rate, and watch how much it improves. Because at the end of the day, clarity is great and that takes you so far. But what you ultimately need is a system that moves you. And the difference between high performers and everyone else isn't that they're just more motivated. It's that they have better fundamental systems for execution. So you better start tracking your clarity conversion rate this week. Did you act on the things that you said you would do? That number will tell you everything you need to know about your execution system. And if you want the full breakdown of my clarity stack, make sure to go and watch this next video. And if you want my clarity code playbook and formula that I use with all of my entrepreneurs, DM me the word clarity on Instagram at Jesse H. Hoffman and I'll get that sent over to you. Because at the end of the day, clarity without execution is just expensive planning. Leave a comment below. What's one thing that you're gonna take action on right now? Peace.